Hey. It is about 10 minutes past 11 on a Tuesday morning. I've posted a training for about 200 people who pay me between $50 and $100 a week. I've hosted a call for about 25 people who pay me $250 a week. And I hosted another call for people who pay me $750 to $1,000 a week. I'm walking through my villa in Bali. I'm starving and I'm going to have lunch. And I made this all up because this all came from the idea that I wanted something different. And I made it all up. I literally wanted something and worked out how to do it. So 13 years ago, I lived in the UK and I had in my AirPods a podcast called The Tropical MBA, and it was hosted by two guys, and they were Americans and they'd flown to Bali, and they were telling stories about kind of dodgy locals and terrible internet and the business they were running online. And I remember, trekking across the cold wastelands of Horsham in Sussex to get to the train in 2 degrees weather, and listening to these guys thinking, I want to do that, right? And at the time, I was a successful sales and marketing guy for a startup in the UK, and I was about to go back to New Zealand to be marketing director for another business. And like 2 years later, by being successful at that job, I started taking clients on the side. And then, 10 years ago, 3 years after that, I started doing it all on my own. And all on my own, I started doing it for myself. I did it with many other people, and I've had, and I've stood on the shoulders of giants along the way, and I've had tons and tons of help and some great luck. But the point is, I made all of this up, and I think there's this real challenge when we come on the internet and we've got these things in our faces, and every day we're bombarded with like other people's good ideas, like the type of life that they want to live. And some people, I guess like me and some others, have an incentive to tell you that their way of living is the best, and that you need to make this much money and you need to live in this places and this places, you need to have a relationship like this. And the reality is that you're just all making it up, and we're all making it up as we go along. It's just that now we're kind of got other people's version of what they made up in their faces that they probably copied off someone else. And that's all to say that you can be and do anything you want. You can live any life you want. If you have the ability to watch this now, then you have a panacea of opportunities in front of you. And just like me, 13 years ago, you can decide what that looks like for you. And if you wholesale take my life or someone else's life and you say, you need that, and you need this, and you need that, then that probably isn't going to work out for you. There are definite components of my life that would be hell on earth for some people. Like, I don't do a heck of a lot of stuff. I work a couple of days a week. I spend a ton of time in the villa. I spend a ton of time with my kids and family. I'm not a massive outdoorsy person. I'm going surfing and doing all these activities. I go to the gym, we eat at nice places, we travel and those things, but I don't do a heck of a lot of stuff. Lots of people would be bored to tears with my life, and that's fine. It's not theirs, it's mine. And yours is yours. And I think in so many cases we, especially if we engage with people who are going to teach us stuff, or we engage with people who've kind of further ahead than us in life, that we go, well, I need to replicate everything that person does, and I need to replicate everything that they've got for me to be happy, because clearly they are. And I have found, I've had dozens of mentors and dozens of coaches over the years, that it took me a while to assemble my version of the outcomes that I wanted and take my reality forward. And over time, I accumulated little bits from people. I accumulated little ideas, little concepts, ways of doing business, ways of thinking, ways of working, ways of loving, and ways of doing things. And I failed every time I tried to replicate them. I failed every time I tried to be a carbon copy and a complete replication of those things. And this is prompted by, yesterday I hung out with some very successful people. And yesterday I hung with them and I they do business differently than I do. And they were talking about sales calls, and they're talking about how much money they made and those things. And I choose a lot of trade-offs in the way I do business. I don't have a sales team. I don't aggressively close and get people on calls and sell super high ticket stuff. In that space, it works extremely well. People who do that and are really, really successful and effective at it grow extremely fast and make lots of money, and they also have pretty high overheads and some other challenges. And I found myself, thinking like, hey, maybe I should get a salesperson, and maybe I should do this, and maybe I should do that. And on the ride home, on the 30 minutes it took me to come home, all of those ideas melted away, because I'm like, I'm not playing that game. That's their game, and I'm super impressed by what they've done, what they're doing. I'm happy for them because it's getting them closer to the things that they want, but it's not for me. And this discernment, I think, is super crucial as we engage with things, because if you try and take things wholesale and utterly, completely from people, that you will fundamentally build someone else's life. And this is an amazing opportunity that we can learn from people and we can get close to people who have done things that we want to do. But we can get close to people who've done and achieved extraordinary things, like exceptional things. And we can do that through paying them. We can do that through proximity. We can do that through networks, etc. But we can get so close to, success these days. But there's a trade-off with that I think so many times that people end up becoming a poorer version of that, and a less happy version of that, because they end up copying someone else's life. So, do I have a point? Yeah, I do have a point. It's that be careful what you wish for, because you can do and be anything. You can literally have any life you want. If you have the ability to watch this in a connected device, no matter where you come from and where you are right now, there is a better, higher self of you that you can achieve, and that knowledge and that knowing inside can actually unfold. But don't lose yourself in the process. The things that you want and the person that you are very, very valid, and they will become amplified through the accumulation of money and resources and influence and status and power when you work at it and you dedicate yourself to those things. So you can be anything and do anything you wish, but just be careful what you wish for.